Short-term rentals are getting more competitive. More people like myself talk about it every day online and talk about how much money they make. So people have caught on that you can make some really nice cash flow. So what's happened in a lot of markets is there's been a flood of supply, and demand, although even if it's still increasing, it's not keeping up with the supply growth. And this is market to market. So what I had realized was there's a subset of people that honestly will pay an arm and a leg above average if they get an amazing experience. And this can be families going on vacation. They will splurge to use things in that home that they do not get at home every day. A hot tub, a home gym, a sauna, a game room, a movie theater, a golf simulator, like you name it, like over the top amenities. And I lost out on so many bookings and so much money because the first question every single person asked was, is the pool heated? And if I said no, but hey, the house is still great, blah, 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 they just ghosted. They never booked. And on average, places with hot tubs versus similar ones which don't have them are making $20,000 more a year. I mean, that's like it's a massive ROI.
Well, dude, the more you get versed on infinite banking, you've got to kind of take them down that road, because anything you do with money, you're giving it one job. So I always tell people, like, you can invest in anything. You could do short-term rentals, you could buy and sell shoes. People do that. You could buy Bitcoin, you could buy precious metals. You can invest in whatever you want. With infinite banking, all you're doing is giving the money two jobs. You're putting money into a policy that's guaranteed to grow, and then you're using it to go invest.
I think ultimately you have to learn to build a business around your lifestyle, not a lifestyle around your business. There's a world that is achievable for any of you that you do not think is possible. That whole mantra, like, oh man, must be nice. You see people on social media like flexing all this crazy stuff, time freedom, the cars. It's like, yeah, dude, it is nice, and you can do it too, 1,000%.
This is the Mr. Burr Show.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Another episode, and you guys are going to get so much value from this. The man I have on today has just crushed it in the short-term rental space. Airbnbs. A lot of people got into that and they couldn't hang. They couldn't hack it. This guy has figured it out. He has a coaching platform on it. He has grown quite the following on TikTok and Instagram, and he just knows his stuff. It's incredible. I've even gotten him involved with infinite banking, so now he's using that with his Airbnb business. Just really impressive what he's done. You guys are going to get a ton of value. I'm going to get value too, because my Airbnbs suck right now. So I'm going to be asking questions kind of selfishly, and hopefully it helps you guys too. So without further ado, Michael Elefante, welcome to the show, my brother.
Mr. Burr, super happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, man, of course. So let's hop into real quick how you became a real estate investor. I know that it was recently that you were able to walk away from your job. So let's tell the people how that happened.
Yeah, man, for sure. Just to give full context, I played baseball all the way through college, was hoping to play professionally. This is back in 2015, 2016. Ultimately, that dream came to a crashing halt, did not get the opportunity to play professionally, which was probably a good thing, ultimately. However, what a lot of people I feel like experience at the end of high school or college, like once like one passion comes to an end and you're trying to figure yourself out what you're going to do with the rest of your life, that I feel like I hit a roadblock and like a personal slump, you know? So I applied for a bunch of jobs, got a job. I was making not a ton of money, like $35,000 a year, cold calling for a company I didn't care about, and to talking to prospects I didn't care about. So that was my first taste of what I'll call like the real world, what a lot of people presume is the American dream. So over the next several years, I thought if I just make more money, I'll be happier. So I worked hard, got a promotion, switched jobs 3 times, networked my ass off. And I started to make a lot more money. And I realized that same feeling really never went away. And I just had more responsibility, more time working, more stress. So like a lot of people, I started diving into podcasts, books, YouTube, learned a lot of different routes to make passive or semi-passive income, and learned about this concept of financial freedom. And really more what it came down to for me was less about money, more about time. Like I want the time and also not to be strapped on finances to be able to do whatever I wanted to do every day. So that was the biggest thing. And I studied a bunch of different forms of real estate because that was the most tangible way for me in my mind to achieve financial freedom. And in 2019, learned more about short-term rentals. And the biggest reason I chose short-term rentals was because I didn't want 50 doors at $200 a door cash flow to hit 10K a month. I was like, that seems really daunting. Learned about short-term rentals and I'm like, holy shit, if I get a few properties, maybe like 2 to 4, I could hit 10K a month pretty easily. And I was like, is this too good to be true? So I just dove into all the data behind it, finally sacked up, sold my truck to be able to get our first rental, savings, and had, needed money for furniture. So that's why I sold my truck. And then like the 4th month, we were about to cash flow like $7,000 on one property. I was like, this is crazy. So that was in 2020. And then COVID hit, but we were super optimistic about it. When I say we, I mean my wife and myself. So we liquidated our retirement accounts, 401k, IRA, got the second property, really never looked back. Some bumps and bruises along the way, but today we have 8 properties. This is a record month for us in July 2024. They did over $190,000 in rental income in 1 month. And I haven't added up the total profit, but it should be over $100,000 of profit on 8 properties in 1 month, which is crazy. You're not going to get that with long-term rentals, right? So that's why I love short-term rentals. It's just like you can influence the cash flow if you set up an amazing experience and do things the right way. So yeah, man, that's the backstory.
So influence the cash flow with an amazing experience. What does that mean?
Yeah, man. So short-term rentals are getting more competitive. More people like myself talk about it every day online and talk about how much money they make. So people have caught on that you can make some really nice cash flow. So what's happened in a lot of markets is there's been a flood of supply, and demand, although even if it's still increasing, it's not keeping up with the supply growth. And this is a market to market. And so some of those markets, people were throwing up pretty normal properties, like they'd furnish them okay. They'd have beds, couches, maybe an amenity or two. And what ultimately happens is the more of those properties that come to market, supply is greater than demand, people now can choose based on price. If most of the properties, 80% are pretty much the same, right? So it's a race to the bottom. It's like any industry, any product or service. If all things created equal, people are going to choose the lower price. So in order to stay in business, a lot of people were lowering their prices and becoming less profitable. So what I had realized was there's a subset of people that honestly will pay an arm and a leg above average if they get an amazing experience. And this can be families going on vacation. They will splurge to use things in that home that they do not get at home every day. A hot tub, a home gym, a sauna, a game room, a movie theater, a golf simulator, like you name it, like over the top amenities. Or maybe it's a specialized rental, like a bachelorette themed rental, where no one's going to live in a house with pink ceilings and a karaoke machine with disco balls hanging. But hey, me and the girls are going to go and have a big time in Nashville. I would love to pay more for a memory that I'm going to create. So that's what I mean by creating an experience. And you could look at any industry, right? If you compete on value, there's usually a buyer for it. So, and it's harder to compete at that level. So it's more sustainable long-term, in my opinion. Also, you're going to get more reviews, better reviews, rank higher in Airbnb search results, so on and so forth.
Got it. It makes sense because I check properties a lot, like houses that I've owned and then I sold, and I'm like, why did I sell it? Because then it goes up, obviously, with just the appreciation of the market. But I even check on like my house that I lived in as a kid, and my parents sold it in 2005. And I looked like a couple years ago, and it was an Airbnb property with a Superman theme. Really cool. Like, I'm a big nerd when it comes to superheroes. Who wouldn't want to be Superman? I think Superman's freaking awesome. And it was a theme for the freaking house, which is awesome. So I would pay more to stay there. That makes sense. You said like golf simulators and stuff like that. Those things aren't cheap. So how do you delineate like what's going to be profitable to get as an experience and what's just kind of throwing money away?
For sure. Yeah. Sometimes it's easier to assign an ROI on a specific amenity. For example, if you look at a pool or a hot tub, it's easier because you can look at AirDNA and you could use filters on which properties have pools and which ones don't, and hot tubs. And then you could look at the revenue difference, the rental income history. And so you could almost say, okay, well, a hot tub's $10,000, $8,000, whatever it is. And on average, places with hot tubs versus similar ones which don't have them are making $20,000 more a year. I mean, that's like it's a massive ROI, right? Mm-hmm. Golf simulators are a little harder, especially if you're in a market where one does not exist. in a rental yet. So that's where you have to be a little bit more of a visionary. So what I like to do is all the data is available to anyone out there. Go on AirDNA, filter in your market by revenue. You can use some other filters too, but that's like the first filter. And you can see what the top properties down are doing. And what I start to do is study each property. Where are they located on a map? Okay, it's all in this zip code, these 3 neighborhoods. And then what similarities do they have? Do they have big living rooms? Do they have secondary rooms that are game rooms? Do they all convert the garage to something? Do they have a home gym? Do they have a pool? Is the pool heated? You know, so basically you know what are the must-haves in order to compete with the top competitors. And then what are 1 to 3 things that I could be a little bit more of a visionary with that either few people or nobody has. And that ultimately is what's going to get you booked during peak season at a premium rate to everyone else. And then it's what's going to get you booked during slower season when other people won't get booked, if that makes sense. So that could be a pickleball, basketball court, a home gym, like you said, a golf simulator, a putting thing outside, whatever. You know, you can kind of get creative with some of the special amenities, but it is harder to assign an ROI to it. But you're almost creating a new category in the market for yourself if you can be the one that has all those things.
Got it. So then when you're looking at AirDNA and you see these different zip codes, these different neighborhoods, are you only buying in those areas, or are you buying in different areas that make sense and then just bringing all of those things into that area?
Usually location is pretty important. There are certain markets, like a mountain market, for example, where it may not necessarily be a certain pinpoint on a map, but maybe it's a certain feature, like there's mountain views, right? Or I'm at least 10 minutes from this amusement park or the entrance to this national park. So it's a little bit less relevant. Now in downtown Nashville, for example, you might want to be as close as possible to the Broadway strip where all the live music is, because that's where all the action is and all the money people are spending is there. So that's where it becomes more important in terms of like investing as close as possible to where those top performers are. If you notice like a super high density of top performers is in one specific area, you should probably be there. Now, if you could be as close as possible, it's not too far where it's detrimental to your revenue, but it allows you to get a property that has like a bigger lot that you can add amenities that nobody else over there can, and you can get it at a much cheaper price. That's where the numbers may start to make sense to do what you said.
Got it. Okay. So then you mentioned like heated pools. I've had this question a million times. In Phoenix, we always have to have a pool at the property because it's 1,000,000 degrees during the summer. But in the wintertime, no one goes in it because it's kind of cold. People always ask, like, is the pool heated? I lose out on so many bookings because it's not heated. And it's just like, I've been weary to pull the trigger to get a heated pool because it's like, is it going to return? So do you charge for that? I've heard some people do that. Like, they'll charge a certain rate per day that it's heated to make up for the difference.
Yeah, honestly, in Phoenix and Scottsdale, if you have a pool but it's not heated, it's not worthless, but it's pretty close to being worthless because
during the winter months, for sure.
Say, and even spring, during peak season, it's 80, 85 degrees during the day, but at night it gets a little chilly. And I had that question. I actually rented a property and did rental arbitrage, and I pleaded with the guy. I was like, look, we need to install a pool heater or else I'm not going to renew my lease. And I lost out on so many bookings and so much money because the first question every single person asked was, is the pool heated? And if I said no, but hey, the house is still great, blah, 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 they just ghosted. They never booked. So
yeah,
it is 100%. That's part of what you need to look at. And then certainly you can charge for it. Some people charge per reservation per day. Some markets like Hilton Head, it's pretty common to charge like $1,000 a week to heat the pool or even heat the spa, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah, the spa's supposed to be heated.
Yeah, some markets it's almost more common just for it to be included or to be like $50 a day, $100 a day. So I would just study the competition and see what that's worth. But undoubtedly, even if you weren't charging for it, it would still probably pay for itself in a short period of time. But then if you charge for it, it helps pad the electricity bill or the heating bill, whatever it is, gas bill.
Got it. Okay. So a lot of people, when they think about short-term rentals, they think there's going to be a lot of messages that I got to keep up on. There's going to be a lot of just having to stay in tune with that. I know you use software that kind of automates that. I use the same thing. If you're still using it, I use Guesty for host. So if that's what you use, talk about how that simplifies it to where you don't have to be attached to your phone every second.
Yeah, I mean, that automates 80-90% of it, but there's still the little questions that you have to answer. I think a VA can take care of 95% of those questions, and you could have a VA that's super cheap, few bucks an hour, that especially can do it in the middle of the night, and then they could basically ping you when there's something more urgent or they don't know how to answer a specific question. So the first 6 properties we had, we still just self-managed on our own. Once you get over like 4 or 5, it becomes a little bit, becomes enough to be annoying, because you're so used to like working 1 to 2 hours a week. It's like, that's nothing. But then it starts to get 3, 4, 5 hours a week, 6 hours a week. Like, it sounds silly, but it is annoying. So hiring a VA, honestly, is probably the best way to do that.
That's smart, man. I never thought about that, because I self-managed all mine, and I had it I think I had 6 at one point, and I just got annoyed with it, like you said, and I didn't want to hire like a property manager and give up 25-30% of gross income for this person to manage it. I'm like, I'll just do it. But I got annoyed, and markets went up in Phoenix. So I was like, let me just sell them, take some, cream off the top, put this into different investments that I don't have to work on as much, but I still have one left. I can easily manage one, because to your point, Guesty for hosts automates a lot of like the check-in emails, the checkout emails and texts. You just get those one-offs, and they're annoying. It's like, where's the thermostat? I always get that. Where's the thermostat? And I'm like, it's this circular object. It's on the wall, about eye level, right by the master bedroom. And they're like, oh, didn't see it. I always get that, bro.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying. Yeah, there's some things that can help to mitigate that, but at the end of the day, people are lazy. Even if we started putting placards up in the highest traffic area of the house. So like there might be 8 photo frames with like lists of very easy to read, big, bold letters on like how to use like a few things in the house. And one of them's thermostat. Like, where is it located? How to adjust it? You kind of have to dummy proof these places. That way, even though some people will probably still ask, at least they'll see it maybe coming through the front door or in the kitchen, usually where we put them. So that has helped. And then anything like a golf simulator, we started recording videos of like, here's how to use it step by step. Because if I didn't do that, every single knucklehead, because it's not easy to know how to fire that up, right? So it's like providing directions, and it's right in front of the golf sim, like in a giant placard, like scan this and watch this before you ask any questions or do anything.
Oh, smart. So it's like a QR code.
Exactly. And yeah, you can make dynamic QR codes to where you can change them remotely, on a whim.
What are you using for that?
I think Bitly. Is Bitly that?
Okay. That's who I use for mine.
Canva or something like that. Yeah, I think it's Bitly though.
Cool. So I might have to add that, because there's so many things I'm just like, you should know how to do this. Like, how do I turn the TV on? I'm like, I lose sleep over this sometimes.
And push the power button.
Point it at the TV. And they're like, oh, I thought we pointed it somewhere else. I'm like, come on. Yeah. It's so crazy, dude. But so yeah, you've been crushing it obviously in the space. And then I think what you did is really smart. And it literally like irks me that so many people will start coaching on something before they've really mastered it, right? What you did is you actually had proof of concept and mastered Airbnbs to where you're crushing it. And you can only do so much if you're not teaching other people something. That's why I started teaching infinite banking, because as I helped more people, my income went up, and all you're doing is helping more people. So I love that what you did is you mastered Airbnb, and then you're like, you know what? Let me teach other people how to do this. And what happened to your income? It went up. Right? So let's talk about your course and your coaching, how people can get into that if they're interested.
Yeah. I mean, so I started doing this a few years ago, and it's evolved over time. And over the course of time, I realized people really desired mentorship, like actually hands-on coaching, accountability, coaches, not just coursework. So it's evolved over time. And I think a lot of people out there get really quick into like just the course game, just slinging them left and right. And it's worth honestly a lot of money if you put it to work, right? But there's something to be said about having somebody back and forth with you actually walking through the process. That's what we evolved into. B&B Investor Academy. Honestly, you can just shoot me a message on Instagram. Happy to chat over it with you. We don't enroll everyone. We want to make sure it actually aligns with what you want to accomplish in life and also in like the next 6 to 12 months before we enroll people. But yeah, man, that's been great. We've been able to help probably over 2,500, maybe close to 3,000 people over the past few years. And I love it. It's honestly turned into a passion of mine. I was coaching for free, by the way, for a long time before actually charging for it, because I was just like so amped to help share with the success I was having with someone else. I was like, guys, I like quit my job over this. Like, you could do it too. And it's like a passion for me, you know, helping other people do that. It's like invigorating. And then I had people ask me like, what do you charge? I'm like, bro, I don't charge anything, you know? And then they're like, well, you should build something because I would buy it. And I was like, oh, okay. Maybe I could turn this into an actual like business. And it's been a tremendous business. It's boosted my income far greater than I ever thought were possible. I've also met so many amazing people, both clients, and then also I've been able to hire new employees. And I've also paid, you know, multiple 6 figures for other masterminds, coaching for myself, so I could be better at my business and my investments as well. So I practice what I preach on all areas of the spectrum.
That's awesome. How do you go about hiring? What's kind of your process to do so?
Depends on which department. If it's on the fulfillment side, so actually like hiring coaches to coach with me, they have to have been through my program or have successful short-term rentals and know how to operate. That's really important because they have to be able to teach like hands-on coach what the people are learning from me directly or indirectly. So that's one thing. And it's a great pipeline. I pay my employees really well. So, and then on the front end, we have a sales team. So we have setters and closers, and it's pretty simple. Like setters are basically just like qualifying people. This is really what you want to do. There's a couple other qualifying questions in order to take a meeting with our team. With closer, call them closer just because they ultimately like close people to get in the program. They're more enrollment advisors, making sure it's a good fit. But hiring talented salespeople that are bought into the vision is a challenge. So that's definitely a higher turnover space, but we have a really good team right now. And we're actually actively hiring. So if you're listening to this and you've ever done high ticket sales and you have some experience, just shoot me a message and would love to chat with you.
I feel like sales in general, that's just a hard thing to fill and keep people. So how do salespeople get paid over at your company?
Yeah, it's commission only, both setters and closers. But the sky's the limit. There's no cap on commission, which is great. And people are free to work remote wherever they want, which is amazing. So, I mean, we have, you know, I had my first ever full-time sales rep was a 19-year-old, and now he is the director of sales for the company.
I think I met him at the event.
Yeah, you probably did. He's probably asking you all about infinite banking and everything, Nick.
And sharp kid.
Yeah, well beyond his years. I tell him that all the time. I'm just like I'm lucky to have him on the team. But his sales acumen is through the roof. It's unbelievable. And his coaching is phenomenal too. Like he earned that director of sales title because the best sales reps are not always the best sales managers or directors, right?
Right.
But you know, he's making multiple 6 figures as a 20-year-old kid. Like,
so cool.
Pretty insane. So like a lot of people out there think they have to go to college. Like he dropped out. I think he finished high school, but he didn't even go to college. It's crazy. And he's making more than like an entry-level doctor or physician would in most cases.
Yeah. And I hope what he's doing is he's using almost you as like a mentor while he's making this money, because the worst thing that could happen to someone that young is make a bunch of money and not know what to do with it. Just blow it on dumb stuff. I say that because it happened to me. I was making pretty good money. Even at 17, I was working at MCI. That might date me a little bit. Like, you're what, 20, you're 29, 30?
31.
31. So do you remember MCI?
No, maybe. I don't know. What is it?
Exactly. So MCI is before everyone had one of these things that has long distance. You had a home phone, you had local service, and long distance service. MCI was the long distance service. And it was a call center. I'd worked like 5 hours a night as a high school kid after school. And I was making, so part-time, making like $1,800 a week. So that's like 70-something thousand a year. No bills, living at home, working part-time. Blew every last penny of that. I have nothing to show for it because I had no mentor in my life to show me like, here, do this with your money. Buy assets, don't buy liabilities. So please tell me he is actually using you as a mentor.
Yeah, he socked away a bunch of money, and his goal is to start buying some real estate, which he needed to do. He did reward himself. He bought a nice red Corvette, but I don't think it was too much of like a jab to his bank account. So we try and keep his head on straight. But I think he's very intrigued. He has like big ambitions and goals. So
good.
I think he's steering in the right direction.
Well, dude, the more you get versed on infinite banking, you've got to kind of take him down that road, because anything you do with money, you're giving it one job. So I always tell people, like, you can invest in anything. You could do short-term rentals. You could buy and sell shoes. People do that. You could buy Bitcoin. You could buy precious metals. You can invest in whatever you want. With infinite banking, all you're doing is giving the money two jobs. You're putting money into a policy that's guaranteed to grow, and then you're using it to go invest. This is still growing, and you're investing, making money in whatever you decide. So at a young age, dude, if I would have started infinite banking at like 18, 19 years old, I would legitimately have this podcast on a yacht right now. You'd see like, I'd have like a Mai Tai drink in my hand, not a Fiji water. And you'd see like a helipad back here where the helicopters landed, because I've got so much freaking money. Dude, make sure to verse that kid on infinite banking the more you get versed.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt.
It's going to be fun. So do you have any ideas of like how you're going to use your policies with Airbnb right now? We can kind of go through that, and I can give you some ideas.
Yeah, I know you and I are going to talk more about this later today too, but a couple ways. There's a lot of people that I coach that have a need for relatively short-term loans. So I would love to get into the private lending space. I'm learning more about that and how to structure it. There's a few other avenues too, but in terms of using it for property, you know, I would have enough that I could pull out today to actually go buy a property. Or just use it to furnish a property, you know, pay for those more expensive amenities, because I know it's going to juice the cash flow, right? Mm-hmm. So there's like the few ways that I'm looking at leveraging it.
Beautiful. So anyone listening to this, if you've done a policy with me and my team, or you haven't, and you're thinking about it, super easy way that Michael can do it, that he's probably thinking about, is, again, lending to other people. That is the most passive way to make money. So again, think about this. You guys put money into a policy. It is guaranteed to grow. It'll never stop growing. That's a contractual guarantee. It'll grow tax-free. So it's going to just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. If it keeps getting bigger, you can just keep using more. So if you put money there first, then use it. And let's say I lend this money to Michael at 15% interest. He's paying me 15%. So all I'm doing is I'm making 15%. And it's growing at about 5 to 6% tax-free over here. I'm literally making money in two places. It's so simple, but I think that people get confused because it's the infinite banking concept. There's so many ways you can use it that people start getting confused. But it's seriously so simple. You're just using an asset that never stops growing to go buy more assets. That's it. So I'm excited to help you with it, man, and it's gonna be fun once you really start to get cranking on it. The first year is the worst year. That's the cool thing about infinite banking, is it's guaranteed to do one thing, and that's just get better every single year. So really excited for you, bro.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked. I need to put it to work. It's all set up.
It's set up. It's just like sitting there now.
I know. Yeah, I have a few things in the pipe. We'll talk later about it. I'm pretty excited.
Love it. So what's kind of next for you? I mean, you've got 8 properties. They're crushing at $190,000 in 1 month, which is amazing. You've got the coaching platform, and I think you've got some other businesses too. Let's talk about those.
Yeah, for sure. So what's cool about coaching, honestly, the income's great. And like I said before, the relationships that you can build and the people you meet is insane. So two of the people that I coached like way back when I wasn't even charging that much for it, approached me with businesses that they were starting, and I joined as a business partner, and we have scaled them dramatically. So I've used what I'm good at, and I partner with them, and they're doing stuff that they're good at. Now I have this like amazing relationship and great businesses. So we have a property management company, Home Team Vacation Rentals. And now we're really going to build an umbrella company called Home Team Collective, because there's all these businesses that are just like sprouting up. So very vertically integrated, but we do a few things there. We manage property for other people. And like you said, PMs typically charge 20, 30%. But the sad part is most of them do a huge disservice to homeowners because they don't maximize revenue for the properties. And a lot of them are actually charging on the gross accommodation fare. So that's inclusive of all the fees, where we charge on the net. So it's just the accommodation rate, like the nightly rate. So that's been going really well. But part of the reason for our growth over the past few years is we do a done for you offer. So we actually go for people who have more money socked away, or high net worth, high income earners that want to do it 100% passive. We'll go find the properties for them, underwrite the deals, professionally design it, set it up, manage it for them on the back end. They still own 100% of the property. We just charge fees for it at each step of the way. And it's been going terrific. And the beauty of that for us is we get to handpick A+ short-term rentals, design it ourselves, and pick all the amenities and do all that fun stuff. And then we get the management fee on the back end. So it's like a win-win for
cool.
clients and us. So in terms of growing the portfolio with amazing rentals, there's pretty much nobody out there that can do it at the pace or scale that we are. And the reason that excites me so much is because property management companies, it's recurring revenue, right? We have contracts with our homeowners, and you can sell that at a multiple, right, of EBITDA. So based on the profitability, there's different levels to that. Once you get above, it's like a staircase. Once you get up a certain level of EBITDA, you can sell for like a 3 to 5x. And once you get above that, it's 5 to 8, 8 to 10. And then you get to a certain point where like 10's the floor, which is insane. So in my mind, like the coaching business isn't that sellable. Great cash flow mechanism. Home Team, decent cash flow, but also we can sell in the future. So my goal is to sell that company for 100 to like 500 million bucks in the next 5 to 10 years. And we have the trajectory to do it. And then because we have all these systems in place for the turnkey offer, now we have spun up a construction company because we were way overpaying for contractors to do pickleball court installs, convert garage to theater rooms, do all this and that. So we built a team that does it at a fair rate for our clients and now other clients as well. So now we get the construction in there too. And then we also have a brokerage in-house. So now we get the referrals to all the agents to close on the deals. So we get half the commission. So there's like all these different levels of income built in when we have it all under one umbrella. So that's really exciting. And then the other thing is a design company. One of my former clients and my other business partner now started Summerlet Designs. And then I came in because I was like, hey, I can help drive sales for the business, bring you clients with my network and my coaching program. And that has gone really well. The girls do an amazing job. We probably manage 30 plus employees there at this point, and we design over 300 properties a year around the United States. So that's been great as well.
Good for you, man. Ton of growth over the last few years. Ton of growth.
Yeah. It's wild, honestly. But the growth would not be there without the partners in the business. You know, you can only do so much as one person. So you really have to find the right operators in the business and then find the right employees, right, that buy into the vision and the core values of the company that can help take it to that level. You can only go so far alone.
I know that you've kind of had this thought, and I have this thought like every day, is like, how do you kind of have that balance? Like, we both have kids and we want to spend time with our kids. We also want to build something great. We want to build a big company. We want to do all these things. But if you do that, you're sacrificing other areas of your life. So talk about kind of where you've been at with that and like what you're doing to strike that balance with home life, family life, and just growing your businesses.
For sure. Yeah. I think ultimately you have to learn to build a business around your lifestyle, not a lifestyle around your business. And I'm still trying to find that right balance because there's certain days of the week that I stack meetings and it's a little bit more time away from my family. The good thing is I work from home. I do choose my own calendar, and the max amount of time I'll ever work in a single day is maybe 8 hours, but usually it's like 4 to 6 hours. And I never take a meeting before 10 a.m., usually before 11 a.m., and I'm usually wrapped up at 5 at the very latest. So for me, it's really, because I do hold that near and dear to my heart. It's like the whole point of getting into real estate was to have the time freedom. Mm-hmm. And very quickly, if you get sucked in down the entrepreneurship rabbit hole, you all of a sudden, it's like shiny object syndrome. You're like, oh, wow, this is amazing. I can make this much money and build a business that's this fruitful. And it invigorates me every single day when I wake up. So I want to do it, but I also want to be in 2 places at once. So there's certainly a balance to find. But at the end of the day, I think you have to systematize and hire the right people to where the low value tasks are outsourced. Because a lot of people, it's really hard to offset tasks that you're so used to doing because you know you're going to do it more efficiently, at least for the time being, until you finally get it to an executive assistant, get it to a VA, get it to a COO, right? So there's a book that I'm reading right now. I just met him recently at a mastermind meetup, but Dan Martell. Have you ever read Buy Back Your Time?
Buy Back Your Time. Great book. I just put up a reel about that a couple days ago.
Yeah, so pretty solid so far. Couple good takeaways just in the first little bit of it, but I'm excited to dive more into that and see what I can apply immediately.
Have you read 4 Hour Workweek?
You know, I read a part of it a long time ago, and then I stopped reading it. I probably need to go back and read it again. I started reading it before I was truly an entrepreneur, so I think it'd be a lot more applicable now than it was then. I think that's probably why I put it down a long time ago.
Yeah, there's so many good ones. There's Who Not How. There's Buy Back Your Time, like you were saying, 4 Hour Workweek. Yeah, so many good books, which, by the way, you have a book. Let's talk about that. How's that going?
Yeah, it's going great, man. We have over 1,100 copies sold across the world. It's since we launched, which is 2 weeks ago from today. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Book launch went pretty well. Pretty short book, but honestly, I hate books with a lot of fluff. So I just tried to make it more tactical, a little bit different than a lot of real estate books. Mm-hmm. It's literally called Investing in Short-Term Rentals, The Fast Path to Financial Freedom. So a little bit of how I built my portfolio, and then it breaks down each step of the way on like how to get started regardless of your budget, all the different strategies, how to find properties, evaluate markets, all that good stuff, all the way down to like building your team to automate the business. So yeah, it's been going great. A lot of great feedback so far, a lot of great reviews on the book. So yeah, I'm super grateful that people are buying it and reading it.
It's right behind you on the screen. Look at that, guys. Right, Investing in Short-Term Rentals. Look at that. Where can people get the book?
Amazon. Yeah, currently Amazon and Kindle, and then we'll have Audible released probably, and then if not by the end of Q3, definitely by Q4 this year.
Perfect. Guys, little hack for you. I've been doing this since 2019. Is some people, like when they read, their mind just kind of drifts. That's me. If I read a book, my mind is drifting into la la land, and I'll get like the whole page, and I'm like, what did I just read? And I go back and read it again. And then if I listen to a book on Audible, same kind of thing. If I'm in the car, I'm just kind of like drifting away, and I don't know what the heck I just listened to. I got to rewind it. So what I started doing is getting the book. So you can see all the books I have back here. Getting the book, but then also getting the Audible, physically reading the book while I'm listening to it on Audible. So I'm using my visual senses, I'm using my Audible senses, and I retain so much of books now. And you can go through and speed it up on Audible. So you can put it at like 2.5 the speed and then slow it down. Listen to that for like about 2 minutes and then slow it down to like 2 times as fast. It'll sound like it's going kind of slow because you were just listening to it at a lot faster pace. And then you just follow along while you're reading it, and it's going through really quick. You can get through so much faster, and you retain it so much better. So hopefully that helps someone. I've been doing that for a long time, and I get through books really quick, and I reread them as soon as I go through, so they stick even more. So
smart, man. I think I heard Hormozi talk about that recently. Maybe it was in his book. Maybe it was someone else. I can't remember. But hearing you say it too, I need to try that because
I taught Hormozi.
It's good.
I taught him that hack. No, it's a really good hack. So I would recommend everyone do that. But yeah, aside from that, bro, what is like one thing that you just want to tell the audience? Like if you could go back to 18-year-old you, grab that knucklehead around the head and be like, around the neck and just, dude, listen to me about this. You will be successful. Just do this. What would that one thing be?
Well, the one thing is you don't have to do what everyone else is doing. And not so much like you have to go work this exact job, but you don't have to follow the same plan that 99% of people just almost like a blindfold on, just walk through, right, as a plan for their life. Get a job, invest in this, retire at age 65, and then live the glory years out. Like there's an alternative path that no one really talks about except for maybe entrepreneurs and investors or, listen to these types of podcasts. Like there's a world that is achievable for any of you that you do not think is possible. That whole mantra, like, oh man, must be nice. You see people on social media like flexing all this crazy stuff, time freedom, the cars. It's like, yeah, dude, it is nice. And you can do it too, 1,000%. It's just, you have to almost reverse engineer. What do I need to do in order to get to that level? And what is just the most important next step in front of me that is actually an actionable item? I got that from Brandon Turner. Because it kind of demystifies like, oh man, or, you get discouraged of like, I want to be there, but dude, like that's so daunting. I'll never get there. You can't jump over the whole mountain. You have to take that first step on the hike to even get there, right? So that's like part one. And then part two of that is like the actionable stuff is like follow people that are talking about what they're doing, get a mentor, free or paid, and then just go all in on one thing and become really good at it. And that should be a high income skill starting out. And then it should be an investing skill. Then maybe it's infinite banking, whatever else to tack on top of it. But you have to build a skill, make yourself valuable, earn money, and then learn how to invest it and like grow and get to that level. So it's like, what's the most important next step is probably just to like find a mentor, consume all that necessary information, and just go like balls deep on that one specific topic that you can be really good at.
Just go balls deep.
I hope that's okay to say on the show. I don't know. It just kind of seemed to flow.
It sounded good. Oh, man. So much wisdom there, guys. Rewind that last 3 minutes or so and re-listen to that, especially the balls deep part. But literally so much wisdom in what he just said. I couldn't agree more. Like every top of the staircase, you can't get there immediately. You got to take one step at a time, And I think the problem is on social media, everyone's showing their highlight reel. They don't show their struggles. Like Michael struggles like anyone else does. He has bad days like anyone else does. I have bad days like anyone else does. The difference is who we surround ourselves with and who you surround yourself with. If they're all like-minded, positive people, if you have a bad day, you're not going to have a bad week. You're not going to have a bad month, a bad year. You're going to have a bad day. You might even have just a bad couple hours. That's the secret, is get yourself around people that are moving and shaking and are doing things systematically to get to a better version of themselves. So guys, it's been a pleasure to introduce you to Michael Elefante. I spelt it wrong the first time. I spelled it like the actual elephant with te at the end. It's not spelt that way. So if people want to find you on social media and whatnot, how can they do so?
Yep, it's just M Elefante. So MELEFANTE 6, and that's my handle on all socials. If you search my name, you'll find me too. But just make sure it's especially if it is Instagram, it has a little blue check on it now that they allowed people to verify themselves, because there's a whole bunch of garbage out there. So just make sure it's me or anybody else that you follow for that matter.
He's the F Elefante, not the PH Elefante.
That's right. I got a scammer.
Good stuff, man. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for pouring into the community. I appreciate you. Anyone watching this, if you are not subscribed to my channel on YouTube, shame on you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you get notified when I put these videos out. It's the podcast, and also I put out videos about infinite banking, about money in general, to just teach. The more I help, the more I make. So selfishly, I want to help a lot of people. All right? So share this with everyone you know. Comment your biggest takeaway. Follow Michael. Until next time, I love you guys. Peace.